Welcome to the channel, King Lizard's Game Lounge, and more Fight Club Friday and Fighting Game Friday, which is a feature that I do on Instagram with @thatretroperson. So this week I'm going to focus on Street Fighter 6 ranked matches again because it's what I'm mostly playing, although I have been playing some MK11 this week and quite enjoying it. Going to jump over to live footage again and carry on talking Street Fighter 6 in the video. Thanks for popping by. So I thought I'd start with some Ryu versus Jamie this week. So this is a classic Jamie player, and as you know, I'm not a huge fan of meeting modern Jamie players because they pretty much seem invincible a lot of the time. You know, the ones that know what they're doing. Now, in this case, I've got a classic Jamie, and to be honest, classic Jamie for me is kind of a 50-50% chance of winning. It's actually quite a good character to fight against, and he's pretty good at getting a series of combos off that do high damage in the event you make a mistake and they land a hit. However, as a Ryu player, I'm more than capable of taking a Jamie down that is in classic. I have beaten a few in modern, but I'll be honest, it's not fun beating these guys in modern that know what they're doing. They're a bloody nightmare. It's like I can't get a hit on them sometimes. I actually had a couple of matches on Tuesday, which I'll go into a bit more, but the two matches I had on Tuesday with Jamie Moderns were a complete nightmare. It was like my controller wasn't working. I couldn't block, I couldn't grab. All I could do was get hit, knocked to the ground, and hit again and knocked to the ground to the point I was dead, and it really wasn't any fun. I met Cammy players that night that were a nightmare. I also met Kimberly players that were modern and nightmare as well. And it just wasn't a good evening Tuesday. It was actually really demeanoring, and I kind of got myself into a real Street Fighter 6 rut on Tuesday evening because all I did was get my ass kicked by modern players. And then, to top it all, when I was actually winning matches and had won matches, my internet disconnected. Now, I initially thought that was the Street Fighter 6 servers, but after talking with friends, it became quite apparent that it's actually my internet messing around again, which happened to, has been happening for quite a while now. So I've got this intermittent disconnection problem, which is pretty frustrating. But if you imagine an evening of one getting your backside whipped by modern players, and then followed by every time you're about to win or winning, or actually physically won the game, which was 4 times, you lose because the server disconnects or you don't get the win. So yeah, Tuesday was a real bad night. Wednesday I had a chat with some of my gaming friends from Instagram, and or fighting game friends from Instagram, and one of them kindly offered to jump in with me at Video Games Are So Awesome on Wednesday evening, and kicked the shit out of me with JP for about 90 minutes, which was really good fun. But no, he did actually give me some really good advice, and he noticed I was doing a lot of tatsus with Ryu and Ken, specifically Ken in this case, because I think that was who I was playing that evening. And he was like, let's do a test. I'm going to show you something. You come in and tatsu me, and we'll see what damage it does against my JP. So I did the tatsu, used a hard tatsu, and I literally took about maybe a 1/9 of his health. And then he said, okay, do the tatsu again. This time come in. I'm actually going to counter it. Okay. So I went in, did the tatsu. Sure enough, he knew it was coming. He grabbed me. Then he did his combo. After his combo with JP, and JP is a bit of an exception, along with some of these other newer characters, he did the combo and I had a 1/3 of my life left. I kid you not. It absolutely massacred me. And time again, I do the tatsu, not deliberately. I'm actually trying to retrain myself, but obviously, 32 years playing Street Fighter is one hell of a habit to shake if you've been doing tatsu all that time. So I'm working on it, and working on adding drive rush to my play as well, because I now understand that better. Before I was doing drive rush, but I was trying to get all 3 implements at the same time. So I was trying to hold on the Xbox, it's the Y and the B button in order to do a drive parry like Cammy just did, and then you double tap forward and then do your move. That's your drive rush. What I was doing was doing all three at once, trying to do the move and thinking that would work. And I was actually getting some success from it, but obviously not very often. So I actually understand where I'm going wrong there now. So I'm trying to implement drive rush strategies into my gameplay as well. And many of you that watched the video last week probably didn't see one drive rush from me, I suspect. So that's something that will change in my later videos, because now I'm doing that. But yeah, after kind of my rut on Tuesday, I was just in a bad place with Street Fighter 6, and you know, pretty what's the word, decimated mentally. I was like, oh, I'm crap at this game, you know, I've had enough. And Dan came to the rescue. Or video games are so awesome. You know, I had a session with him. He murdered me. I didn't win a single match in 90 minutes with his JP, who's, you know, he's a platinum JP, he's 4-star, and he's absolutely brutal. Nigh on untouchable. I did get damage on him, but I didn't win any rounds or any matches. But you know, just sitting there chatting with someone else that knows what they're doing about, you know, the fighting games, or this particular fighting game, helped me a lot and helped me re-strategize. And then Wednesday evening, I went back in and, you know, started fighting players. I actually got, I think it was about 80% of my fights I won on Wednesday evening after that, you know, kind of session with Dan. So that was actually really positive, and since then I've been back on track again, in control a little bit more, and also implementing that drive rush on some players, because you do get a lot of players, and I don't know about you guys, I'm seeing a lot of players that just block all the time. They literally block everything and do nothing offensive. You know, they literally wait for you to do everything, and that is just like the most boring thing for me in this game. It's actually a frustrating match when that happens. And you have to kind of create openings by faking things and stuff, and it's just not easy. It's just a very drawn out match. And I had to cut a few matches which I didn't bother recording because they were crap, where, you know, I deliberately jump in, jump out, and then do a, you know, a special on the Hadouken and actually get some damage on them, and then I'd back off and I'd just play their game and wait for them to come to me. You know, because two can play that game, right? But yeah, it's a dull fight, and it's not exciting in the slightest shape or form, and it's just a waste of the game, I think, personally. Yeah, okay, it might guarantee you a win, but it's a crap fight, and it's no way to enjoy Street Fighter 6 for me. So I managed to get in there. I don't know if you saw that with the Marisa. I managed to get the electricity in at the last minute. I'm getting quite good at that, getting that electricity in just for the uppercut. And it adds that little bit extra damage. So, but Marisa, I'll be honest, is a fighter that doesn't faze me. You know, if I see Marisa pop up, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can handle Marisa. You know, there are some good fighters out there with Marisa and some tough fighters, but I actually feel reasonably confident that when I play against a Marisa in my range, you know, my skill set, if you like, that I can beat them. So, you know, a Marisa isn't a character that bothers me at all. Whereas obviously if I see a Kimberly, a, you know, Jamie or a Cammy, instantly I'm like in anxiety mode, thinking, oh my god. And if it's a modern player, then, you know, it's like 10 times the anxiety. It's like, what crap am I going to have to deal with now? But win the Marisa bout there. That was actually quite an interesting bout. So I've got some JP coming up next. And as I said, I was playing with Dan, and the damage this guy does is absolutely insane. He doesn't have to do a lot to murder you. You know, Dan literally finished me off, perfected me within 20 seconds on a couple of occasions, just by setting these, you know, psycho power traps, and then putting me into a corner and keeping me there, and then using that, you know, long range grab that this guy has, which is absolutely devastating. He's actually a very frustrating fighter to play against, JP, especially if it's a you know, there's the trap there just above me that I managed to dodge. But yeah, he's actually a really frustrating fighter to fight against, especially if you get caught at range. Now, I, out of interest, thought, well, okay, I've not tried the modern controls with a character that I haven't used. That was quite cool. I got a double KO there, first one in the game actually. And obviously with a double KO it counts as a win for both players, so it means the third round or the second round is actually the winning round for one player. Someone's going to win, obviously, as long as you don't double KO. There's the replay. But yeah, I jumped in with JP on Modern, and he's actually quite easy to control. I got into his intermediate 6th tier of combos with no trouble at all. First time, every time I was hitting the moves, and the moves for JP are just so simplistic in Modern, it's not funny. You know, a competent Modern player playing with this guy is lethal. You know, the moves are that easy to execute. And I wasn't having any issue with them, so I'm sort of thinking, well, should I jump in with a JP and just experiment? I kind of feel a bit like a cheat if I do that, because I think he's just totally overpowered personally. But I think I might have a dabble at JP and still I get on with Modern. I need to practice a bit more, but he was surprisingly easy for me. The easiest character that I've tried to play as yet in terms of getting moves and getting some very successful combos on. Now the other character I've taken on is Manon. So I started to play some Manon last week. I might have included a Manon fight in the video, I think. And I quite like Manon. You know, she's got a good variety of moves. She's quite an interesting fighter. She's got a lot of offensive type kicks and defensive kicks. And you know, I'm a long way from mastering Manon or getting somewhere where I consider myself good enough to go into the higher ranks, but I actually really like what I see with Manon. She's quite an interesting fighter, and quite a good variety of moves. So I've started playing her. Currently I ranked in one of my traits is if someone fights me and they beat me, I will actually fight them again, because I want to see if I better myself the second time, which probably isn't a great thing, because what happens to me a lot is when I beat someone, they leave. They don't stick around for a second round, so I don't get the chance to pick up the easier win, which, to be honest, I'm not being big-headed. A lot of the time when I beat someone, I know I'm probably going to beat them again a lot of the time. Sometimes I get surprised, but most of the time I can win the second round. And I'm not getting that opportunity because I win one and then they leave. But what I do is, someone beats me, I stick around and fight again. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Even if I've been massacred first time round, I'll be like, no, I'm not having that. I want to go back in and do better the next time, and I might get massacred again, but it's not helping me as a player, I don't think, because obviously I'm losing ranking points because of it. So I might start to be a bit more selective about who I replay. Given that no one's replaying me, I'm thinking, well, I'm losing out all the time here, being the gentleman, if you like, or the honourable player, and actually giving players having a second stab myself to try and better myself. Whereas players that jump in and lose instantly and then jump straight back out, they're not really going to better themselves, because they just leave the server or leave the room every time they fail. Whereas to me, it's more important that I kind of learn where I went wrong with the person I was fighting, and sometimes you can actually see things unfold, not just for your opponent but also for yourself, because I was playing a guy and he had cottoned on, but I didn't cotton on that he cottoned on, if that makes any sense. I didn't cotton on that he cottoned on that I was dragon punching every time he got close to me on the ground. So then he started blocking everything I was doing with the dragon punch, and because it's so inbuilt in my fighting game, it backfired on me, because I just naturally tried to do that when someone got close. So obviously I've had to mix that game up, and I'm like, okay, I can't keep doing that, I've got to mix it up. People are predicting it now. And it is actually a good move to do, because obviously you get a high amount of damage, you put them in the air and it gives you a chance to react to them as they're landing. So, but this guy had worked out what was going on with me when he lost the first time. The second time he sussed it, and the third time he sussed it and beat me again. So playing other people again, I think, is an important part of Street Fighter 6, because it's the best way to learn how to beat your opponents, or how to beat a particular character. So this is one of the very few E-Honda fights I had. I've not seen many E-Hondas. which is weird because apparently he's quite similar to JP in regards to that he's just a very powerful character in the hands of a modern player. And for me, you know, E Honda is probably a fighter that I would consider in modern purely because I'm not very good at playing them in classic. You know, characters like Guile, E Honda, you know, Bison, obviously he's not in this game yet, but you know, those style of characters that what I call horizontal and vertical based movesets, you know, left, right, up, down movesets with power moves and stuff. I'm not very good at pulling them off. I can do it, but I'm not consistent enough to do it quickly fighting other people. With a modern control set, I can. And I have played a little bit of E Honda this week, not in matches, but I did play some, what do you call it, combo trials. And I got through quite a few of Honda's combo trials with no issue. You know, and he's quite a formidable fighter in the wrong hands, you know, or the right hands. So, but I've not met enough Hondas online so far, and I've been quite lucky. I think with the ones I have met, I've only lost to one Honda so far, and I think I've only seen about 4 or 5. So it doesn't seem to be a character that many people are choosing at the moment. So round 2, though, I don't know what that was. He's like a belly flop, but you know, this guy was sitting back waiting, clearly trying to get the torpedo off, and he loves that drive impact. And I'll be honest, I typically forget to use drive impact. I don't know about you guys, but I forget all about drive impact until someone does it to me, and I'm like, oh crap, drive impact, I need to remember to use that. This guy's great at grabbing me, and my Tatsu game here is letting me down because you're seeing me doing these Tatsus, and I'm using them to try and get close to him, but I'm getting too close and he's grabbing me. Got that in successfully, and he did a great job of blocking my uppercut there. And again, see, he's learnt what I'm doing now. He knows full well that when I'm getting off the ground and I'm going to try and hit him, I'm going to try and dragon punch him. So he's worked me out. At this point, round 3, I got to wake up and stop doing that, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. So I start off doing the Tatsu again. As you can see, it backfired. You know, it's just a dangerous move, and the level of payout you get from that move just isn't worth the risk. So it's something that, again, like I said earlier, I've got to build that out of my fight with Ryu and Ken. He's got himself exhausted really quick here, but again, he's got him with a grab. Now, I'm actually grabbing when I'm landing, but he's beating me to it. So, because I know full well it's the first thing a Honda player is going to do is try and grab me, because that's their damage point. I managed to get a nice 4 hit there from the sweep, followed by a mid kick and a hurricane kick. Here he tries the same move, and I know it's coming, so like my Tatsu, he was instantly predictable when I put him down. But quite a tight match, that one, and it was a good match because it was quite strategic. I had to work out, you know, what was going on, and then I had to change my game because he worked me out. So Ken versus Manon here. Very tit-for-tat type fight at the moment. No one's really in control here. We're just getting the odd hit. I've kind of just gone ahead now. Got him in the corner. You know, again, I'm an old school player. I really don't like cornering people, and I will back off like that rather than take advantage of them in the corner. And again, that's a weakness in my game. You know, I should really just get in there and murder them once they're in the corner, but I don't see that as a gentlemanly or honourable thing to do as a player. I'm very old school, and that is the truth. And you know, it backfires on me because I'll back off from someone, and then they'll nail me as I'm backing off because I'm trying to get away from them. I want to give them a chance to get up again. When really, I need to be a bit more visceral and think, no, I got to win this, no matter what it takes. If he's down, I'm just going to keep him down, or keep that player down and finish them off. But like I said, I'm a bit more honourable, and I don't like to do that, so I tend to back off like I just did there. Sometimes I'll deliberately back off because I'm trying to get room and think my next strategy, but other times it's just a natural thing to me to do in fighting games. I've always done it because I just consider it dishonourable to hit people on the ground. But talking of hitting people on the ground, the amount of players, and obviously we've got lots of new players, but also classic players I'm playing, who will move in on me once I'm on the ground. And okay, that, you know, that can work out for you, but a lot of the time playing against me it doesn't, because I know what's coming. I know, you know, they're moving in, so I'm just instantly gonna dragon punch them or do whatever I can coming up from the ground. And a lot of the time, I'd say, you know, 85% of the time, I'm winning that battle, you know, getting off the ground and hitting them before they do anything to me as I get up. So there's a lot of players out there, and for me the golden rule with fighting games was always, you know, if someone's on the ground, your opponent, don't go near them, you know, unless obviously you've just got them on the ground and you've got a downward damage move like in Tekken for instance. But you know, typically keep away from them as they get up, because you're typically going to get nailed. A lot of fighting games are designed that way so that, you know, the player can get back up. The one thing I don't use in this, actually, there's actually a backflip you do that can get you off the ground quick, and I haven't really used it once. That's something I definitely need to look at incorporating, although I'm not sure it'll always work to my benefit, because it might mean I get up quicker into a, you know, a face full of fist or foot, if you like. But it's something I need to look at, because I'm not using that recover mode, and obviously that recover mode's there for a reason, to get you up and out of trouble quickly. So I managed to take down another Yuri there. Yuri's quite a formidable fighter as well. Chun-Li, I mean, with Yuri, I basically, again, for me it's a 50-50 fight. I don't feel, I am a little reserved with Yuri, because obviously that dive down mechanic can be really tough to block. And obviously if you miss the first one, chances are you're just not going to get the timing, and it's going to do a lot of damage to your game. But you know, for me, Yuri doesn't bother me too much when I fight as Yuri. Again, I feel quite confident that I can beat them. Same with Chun-Li. I feel really confident I can beat Chun-Li players. They don't really faze me. You get the old one that's really good, but the majority of them don't really concern me at all. So nice start there from my opponent. Nice drive rush followed by that triple kick into the air. I give it back. Managed to keep a lot of my health there so far. Bit tit for tat again at the moment. I've sort of taken control a little bit there. Knew that that lightning kick was coming in, and there's the aerial I was expecting as well. Tatsu from behind, and then fireball from behind as well. I knew again the lightning kick. A lot of players like to use that lightning kick and rely on it a lot, and it's probably about as devastating as my Tatsu when it goes wrong. So a bit of a Zangief player, and again, I've not seen many Zangiefs in Street Fighter 6 either. I think this is like the 7th or 8th Zangief I've come across in probably easily over 200 fights, I'd imagine, maybe more. This Zangief player is a bit touch and go. It's a modern player, but obviously he's not, what's the word, a well-versed modern player. Either that or I'm pressuring him or whatever, and he's messing his moves up. But you know, I wasn't overly that worried about fighting this guy, especially when I saw him doing those triple chops instead of grabbing me, because you know, the first thing you want to do with Zangief is grab people and do big damage, and he just wasn't doing that. So I thought, okay, this guy's obviously reasonably new to Zangief. He's not quite got him down to pat, so I don't feel too threatened by him. So, lots of fireballs. He's blocking those nicely with his drive parry, and a lot of people are doing that now. You know, your fireball is starting to become quite useless as a Ken player or Ryu player. I actually thought I was going to land that playing this guy, and then he pulls off this you know, super. Quite a cool animation, isn't it? Not so cool if you're receiving it, obviously, but yeah, big damage, and I knew that running jump was coming in, so I take advantage with the Tatsu, and then overhead hit on his drive impact. And obviously with drive impact, you don't want to attack from the front, because 95% of the time you're going to get done. You know, hit them on the head, hit them from above or from behind. That's the best way to get damage on a drive impactor, either that or a super or an ultra, but that doesn't always work. So we're getting near the end of the video here. I've kind of chatted a lot of Street Fighter. I don't know about you guys. Maybe drop some, you know, comments in the video. We can chat some Street Fighter 6 or whatever, and just pass, information back and forth, see what our experiences are, how we're getting on. This has kind of been a bit of my journey this week. I've been very truthful about my play this week. As I said, Tuesday was a bloody nightmare, and it actually had me pretty disdained against the game, but I managed to get my head in the right place with some help from friends on Wednesday, and then I've been back at the game ever since and really enjoying it again. So little touch and go, but that happens when we're playing, right? You always have to take the rough with the smooth, so to speak. So finishing off with a bit of Yuri action here, so I get the first round. Now, some of these recordings, when I'm doing them, I'm actually having to use my Xbox One recordings, which is why you're not always seeing all 3 parts of the fight. It's because I don't have much space to be recording on, and I run out of space really quick. So, if I win a round, I generally will record it at that point, which means sometimes they've won the first round and we miss it for the video. But, some of the fights in here are 3-rounders, and I will do more 3-rounders moving forward as much as I can. Storage, what's the word? Subject to storage, if you like, or capacity on my Xbox One. So that was the final fight. Appreciate you guys popping by. If you like the video, if you enjoyed the video, maybe drop it a like, maybe subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments. Thanks for watching. Take care, keep well, and most importantly, come back soon.